You still there, pussy? Because it's Jon Jones motherfucking fight week. I am Zach from Filthy Philadelphia, joined by the tie-dyed John Boy down there in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida. John Boy, I'm not even going to waste time. It's Jon Jones fight week. You know what we need to do.
I thought it would never happen. We've waited long enough. We got a nice opponent, maybe not the one that everybody wanted to see at first, but a hell of a replacement. And I'm just excited to see the man himself back, baby.
I'm stoked. I'm ready to go. I'm going to keep the CBD handy. The Kill Cliff stays by my side because I'm just that excited. I guess before we get into it, tell me you didn't watch the UFC card on Saturday.
No, luckily I was spared and I didn't have to witness that atrocity. I saw a bunch of shit unfold. Everybody knows if you don't, Krylov span, the main event got pulled. I believe Krylov couldn't go, was the issue.
Krylov was sick, had the boo boo itis, so no good there.
Yeah, they need to do a better job of how they, do clearance on fighters, especially the night of fight night. It's fucking absurd. But yeah, no, saw little glimpses of it, not too much. They already rebooked that fight though.
I
And
mean,
I could care less about it.
it's a good fight. I mean, I don't know that it should be a main event of anything. Maybe it's a curtain jerker, maybe it's a featured prelim bout, but I don't think it's the main event of anything. But I saw some crazy statistic like 13 of the 15 people fighting on that card were like contender series guys. It's just
Yeah.
they need to do a better job of like either bringing in contender series guys to make their UFC debuts, or if you want them to have like their first fight, like make it a contender series fight night. So at least I can prepare myself for what I'm going into.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. At least don't just overstack it, right? With all guys like that. At least, spread it out a little bit. It was a little bit of top heavy with no-name guys kind of making their debuts in the UFC. And that's why we didn't have a pod, right? For it.
I mean, look, I can only bullshit so much for so long. At some point, I got to recharge the bullshit batteries. I'm not going to waste them on that. I'm going to bring them to this card. Um, But if anybody at home is thinking, damn, maybe I missed some good violence this weekend. There was a great one card on Friday night. Go back and watch that. John Lineker versus Fabricio Andrade. Great card. Somebody got their whole fucking femur broken. That was horrifying to watch.
Good time.
Who's number one jiu-jitsu card on Saturday night? That was great. Nicky Rodriguez and Felipe Pena in the main event had a decent little scrap. A couple other solid jiu-jitsu matches going on there, including a Renee Sousa from 10th Planet Bethlehem. So shout out Pennsylvania Grapplers. And then our homie Jack Sudduth went out and competed in every division he was allowed to.
Shout
This
out to the boy Jack.
Shout out to the homie. So I mean, there's some stuff to go back and watch. Do your homework, don't skip it. But I think that's about it. I mean, is it time? Are there fights this weekend?
Lucky for you guys, we did our homework and we got a big old card down in the desert in Vegas. We got the return of the GOAT, Johnny Bones Jones versus Cyril Gahn making his debut at heavyweight. This is probably the biggest fight the UFC could make in name value besides Conor McGregor. That's fair. John Bones Jones is number two draw.
Yeah, I would say number two draw. I would say that. And then the going up to heavyweight, the speculation about it for years.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, and I don't know how much honest debate you could have about who's the GOAT. It's Jon Jones. It's so hard for me to believe it's not. So this is it.
I also have some news on that. So apparently, this is from Jon Bones Jones' Twitter account himself, that per USADA, the science has changed. No tests under 100 picograms per milliliter will be positive anymore. So what Jon Jones had tested positive for in the past in the Daniel Cormier fight will no longer be a positive trace test for USADA. You can take what you will with that information, but Jones is taking it as clearance that he's been cleared of all wrongdoing. And
Be the man.
that's interesting how they changed that rule. I don't know if they changed it because of him or the science has really changed, but that definitely changes the GOAT talk a little bit because right, it's his only asterisk.
Well, he has one loss. He has
The
one
DQ
actual
doesn't
loss,
count, but yeah,
which was not a loss. And if anybody needs an abridged history on that, just go watch that fight, pull it up on YouTube or Fight Pass or whatever you got. And it was not a loss. So I don't know. Now that Turnaball metabolite no longer counts, that to me says no asterisks, no Barry Bonds on this one. This man has been cleared of all wrongdoing. How is he not the GOAT? How is he not the MMA GOAT? So this is it, right? This is the
he
test.
is.
This is the answer right now. He goes up to heavyweight. He defeats Cyril Gahn, who is a tough customer. Is there any more debate?
I personally don't think there is a debate right now. Jon Bones Jones is my number one in the GOAT talk conversation. If he gets this done this Saturday against Cyril Gahn, who is as legit as it comes as a heavyweight competitor, yeah, this solidifies it. It's a done deal. I will not hear any alternative argument. It's JBJ number one, goated.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly of the modern era, certainly of the UFC. There's, maybe there's a podcast we could do on an off week where we sit down and really talk about goats of mixed martial arts. Get
That'd
back
be
to
fun.
the Pride days, right? When Sakuraba was the Gracie killer. You could talk about Yuki Akai, who fought blind against Hickson Gracie. There are some guys out there who maybe you don't know a lot about who were pioneers of this game, who maybe deserve a mention or at least a debate. But in the modern era, in the UFC, where really it's the only MMA league that's mattered for the last 30 years, it's Jon Jones. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, man. I was blessed to be at that fight in the Prudential Center when he absolutely eviscerated Shogun Hua to win the belt. Youngest ever, 23 years old.
2011. Yeah.
Hasn't lost a fight since. So
You know where I was?
where were you?
Miller's Ale House, Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, baby.
Shout out Millers.
That's because if the fights are on, your ass better be at Miller's.
Say last. Best chain in the game.
In the fucking game.
All right.
Let's talk about it. He's got a competitor, and the competitor has a name. That man's name is Cyril Gahn, and he ain't no fucking ice cream man. It's a
No,
tough
right. The fight everybody wanted was the Francis, right? The boogeyman, the Francis Ngannou fight. We know that Francis and the UFC have parted ways. So the next best thing is Cyril Gahn, and that's pretty damn close. He was getting the better of Ngannou in their first fight on the feet for damn sure. And then Ngannou kind of, showed us that he's got a little bit more than striking in his arsenal. And he wrestled Gahn. Who do you think the favorite is here?
I think the favorite's Jon Jones.
You'd be correct. I believe it opened up at around minus 130. It's starting to get steamed up to about minus 160. The general public, the name recognability. Johnny Jones is getting bet down, man. Who you got in this one?
Ooh, oh man, the hard hitting question. You know what? My wild pick in December, my wild card pick for 2023 was that Jon Jones will not win a fight this year. I'm sticking with it. I'm going with Cyril Gahn. That being said, I'm rooting for Jon Jones, but I think Cyril Gahn is going to get it done.
Interesting.
Who are you rocking with? I think I know the answer, but just so we're all on the same page, who are you rocking with?
Initially, when things opened up, I did lean Gahn just because this is going to be uncharted territory for JBJ. I do think Gahn is the stronger, more crisp striker, as crazy as that sounds on the feet. I think it'd be a really, really bad decision for Jones to keep this standing. The only thing that is making me lean a little bit back toward JBJ is just the wrestling advantage, man. Gon has not, we already saw Gon get dominated against lesser grappler and Francis Ngannou. Jon Jones is no fucking joke on the ground. Uh, Unbelievable top control, unbelievable pressure when he gets an advantage position, nasty elbows from the top. I think he's going to have a lot of adversity. I think there's going to be a lot of spots where you're going to be holding your breath and they're going to trade and they're going to trade some shots and it's going to be a little dicey at first. But I think once he starts to get range and starts to get inside that clinch, I think the clinch work is where he wins this fight. I think he pushes it up against the cage and eventually takes Gon down. I'm going to side with the legendary Jon Bones Jones here.
So, I'll tell you the big takeaway, and there's a lot of room for discussion. The big takeaway, the big reason I'm leaning towards Ciryl Gane is just the unknown, right? Jon Jones was the GOAT at light heavyweight, but Jon Jones towered over most of his competition.
Yeah.
He's 6'4". He knows how to use that range. He knows how to pick you apart and pick his shots. Ciryl Gane's 6'5", and Ciryl Gane is a heavyweight. The closest we probably seen to Jones seeing that probably Daniel Cormier, who straddled the line between light heavyweight and heavyweight and maybe held a few towels as a light heavyweight. But Daniel Cormier is not 6'5", right? Daniel Cormier was kind of stout, kind of stocky, and Jones was able to use that leverage to his advantage. You don't have that here. You're not going to be able to bully Ciryl Gane around the cage. It's going to be a lot harder to use your range when he's got the same range at his disposal. And, there are two examples of guys who kind of had Jones figured out. Obviously, the first was Alexander Gustafsson. They had one of the greatest fights of all time. Jon Jones had never been tested like that up until that point. And then more recently, Dominic Reyes. And I thought Reyes had beaten Jones in that fight. I thought it was a close fight, but I thought Reyes would have eked out a decision. And that was a fight that stayed mostly on the feet. Now, add 50, 60, 70 pounds of power to that fighter, and now you're getting closer to what Ciryl Gane is. The guy is a crisp fucking striker. And Jones hasn't fought heavyweight. I don't think he's been punched with bad intentions by anybody like Ciryl Gane yet. And I mean, Gane, stopped Tai Tuivasa. Before that, you probably would have needed a Mack truck to stop a guy like Tai Tuivasa. Gane stopped him. So that's what's got me leaning towards Ciryl Gane. I wouldn't be surprised if Jones fucking figured out the formula, though. Obviously, that's what he does best. And we've said before, I mean, the mysticism around Jon Jones was he would figure out what are you best at, and then he'd beat you with it. Are you a wrestler? I'm going to take you down. Are you a grappler? I'm going to submit you. You're a boxer? I'm going to beat the fuck out of you with the hands. This is a tall order, though.
Yeah, he cannot take that approach with this fight.
Exactly. You gotta figure out your weapons early on, and you've got to utilize them. What might go to Jones' favor, though, and this would kind of cuts both ways. Jon Jones' last fight was 2020, right? So 3 years ago, 3 years and 19 days ago, February 8th, 2020. But Ciryl Gane has been in the UFC for, I think, less time than Jon Jones had successful title defenses.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of experience on Jon Jones' side. Do you think ring rust comes into play?
I think with certain guys it might come into play, but with a guy like Jones and the type of camp that he has and the kind of experience that he has, I don't think it is. He took the necessary time to bulk up, man. He looks good. He looks like he's filling into the frame. This is just going to be a matter of, can you impose your will in the wrestling department? And from what we've seen from Ciryl Gane is when somebody wrestles, he lays lifeless on his back and he doesn't really have a strategy to get back on his feet. Can you learn that in a year to 2 years? I don't think so, especially with a guy like Jones. But don't don't let that be misconstrued. For if this stays on the feet, Cyril Gane will definitely find his shots. He will definitely find his moments. Jones is going to need to close the distance here. This is going to be, he needs to get in close and quickly, and he needs to make this ugly and just grind him out. I think he's going to be able to do it. But if there's a guy to follow a good game plan, it's Jon Jones. I mean, his fight IQ is up there with the best of them. You know what I mean? He's too difficult for me to bet on when there's that big of a glaring hole in Gane's game.
Completely fair. It's completely fair. It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
more than anything, more than picking who I think it's gonna be, I'm just excited. I'm
Yeah.
just this is the shit that gets MMA fans out of bed in the morning. You know, the idea that the light heavyweight goat is going to take 3 years to put on 40 pounds of pure muscle and go up and fight a guy at heavyweight who's got nothing but bad intentions in his hands. I mean, that level of excitement, that hype is so through the roof. I cannot wait for this fight.
Yeah, the Jon Jones walkout is going to be scenes. That's going to be crazy. That's going to be like a movie. This is a huge fight, man. This solidifies him as the best to ever do it. I'm fucking excited, man.
I remember after one of Jon Jones' layoffs, he came out to the P Diddy "I'm Coming Home," and the whole place went quiet. Literal fucking chills up the spine.
Yeah,
I
it's one
almost
of
hope he comes out to that again.
one of the greatest walkouts of all time.
I'm
I'm assuming he's going to replicate that. He might even outdo it here.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, dude, this is going to be a sick fight. There are other fights on this card, but
There are.
but if I just saw this one, I'd probably be a happy man for the night, to be honest with you.
If it was this one and then 15 drunk guys at Miller's Ale House fighting in a parking lot, it'd still be worth the price of admission.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, there's just
Paying every time.
But that's not the case. And it's not 15 drunks fighting at Miller's Ale House in the parking lot. Fucking co-main event, the Bullet, Valentina Shevchenko taking on Alexa Grasso. It's a decent little number.
Yeah, man. It's a decent little number. And the Bullets got the same number that she usually demands from Vegas in this one as well, if you could imagine.
That's a high number.
Minus 625.
Yeah.
The challenger, Alex Grasso, sits at plus 450. Who you like in this one?
Look, I like Valentina. Let's not ever fucking get it twisted, right? I mean, she's Valentina Shevchenko for a reason. She's lined where she is for a reason. And not to take anything away from Grasso, right? I mean, she's put together a decent little resume in the past few years. Macy Barber, Ji-Yoon Kim, Joanne Wood, Viviane Araújo, none of them come close to the Bullet. None of them are Valentina Shevchenko. But that being said, and this is what I'm interested to see, Valentina got a little exposed in her last fight. She didn't look like her usual self. Santos kind of had her number for a couple of rounds there, and there were a few who thought that Santos had beaten Shevchenko. I don't think you and I were amongst that group. I think you and I thought Valentina had won the fight, but that was a close fight. Do you think it impacts this one in any way?
I really don't. I think we're going to go down to the one quote that we pretty much bring up every single card, and it's styles make fights. And this is similar to the main event in the fact that Bullet just has more in the arsenal. She can wrestle, she's nasty in the clinch, and she can strike. Grasso, I believe, is like a Golden Gloves boxer. Very, very nasty on the feet, keeps distance, circles. That's her bread and butter. We saw like towards the end of the Macy Barber fight, Macy Barber started to have her way in the grappling department. Makes you think why she didn't, institute that earlier in her game plan. You just see this with the champions nowadays, man. They have so many tools. They have everything. It's not just one thing, man. You can't be one dimensional in this sport. And for that reason, I just think Bullet's going to be able to take this to the ground when she needs to. She can stand with her too. I just think she's going to be able to take her down at will and even possibly fish for a submission here. I'm going to side with Bullet like I usually do.
Yeah, I am too, and I'll say this. I mean, Valentina Shevchenko reminds me in a lot of ways, not to draw such an obvious comparison, but she reminds me a lot of ways of Jon Jones, right? In that she's great on the feet
Yeah.
and still hurt you on the ground, right? Valentina made her early fight career. She was a Muay Thai fighter, she's a kickboxer, incredibly talented career in MMA in her pro career, she's got 8 knockout victories and 7 submission victories,
Yeah.
right? Anybody who's a Muay Thai fighter who can put together that reputation as a submission fighter in MMA is not to be trifled with. And that to me is the appeal of the Bullet. So I'm rocking with Shevchenko, but I'll be interested to see how she comes out. I'll be interested to see if she comes out looking to avenge her poor performance from last fight. And poor Alexa Grasso might be on the receiving end of that.
I mean, I think Bullet's starting to trend upwards into that GOAT talk. She's not somebody that's really mentioned because of the bullshit split decision losses to Nunez. But in terms of title reign, fighting above her weight class, now she's at 125, where this seems to be her home. She was fighting at 135 before that. She's one of those people that, deserves a lot of respect. And that record is all the proof in the world. If she gets this done, she's looking at my girl later down the road, which I don't know if this might be the first time I jump ship, but I think on March 3rd, the night of the 3rd, the Bullet gets it done over the tough Mexican and Alex Grasso.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's right. But yeah, there's Valentina better not expend too much energy. I think we'll talk about it later, but there are monsters under the bed at 125. There are a couple of monsters waiting for the lights to go out.
Facts.
Tell me who the next fight is. Just say it.
Whew. Whew. We've got Shavkat Rakhmonov and the boy Geoff Jeff Neal, baby.
Jeff, if you nasty, Geoff Neal.
Jeff hands a steel Neal.
All right, I'm gonna make this easy. I'm gonna say that Vegas is siding with Shavkat Rakhmonov.
They are. It's a little bit wide. I mean, I understand that his name garners that type of respect, especially in the books, but he's minus 500 and it's trending upward to minus 600. Jeff Neal could be had for around plus 375, plus 400, which is wide. Jeff Neal is no joke. He needs to keep this fight on the feet big time. And if he keeps it on the feet, there might be some little holes he can exploit in Shavkat's game. Obviously, Shavkat's top 3 prospect in the UFC right now, undefeated, absolute murderer at 170 pounds. Damn, I don't know, man. Something in my gut is telling me Jeff Neal's going to be a fucking problem.
You know what? It could only be your gut, though, right? Because
100%.
where else would it be? Shavkat Rakhmonov's not just undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
He's never had a decision. Never had a decision. He has seen the 3rd round of a mixed martial arts fight once, and it was not in the UFC. He has all finishes in the UFC. Now, those finishes, I mean, I don't know that you want to pick apart his resume and say it's not that impressive. Okay. I mean, he just beat Neil Magny last year, submitted him. Carlston Harris, Alex Oliveira. I mean, the resume might not be what you want it to be, but the performances are what you'd expect it to be from a guy who is that dude. And I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is that dude. The nomad coming out of Kazakhstan. I'm riding with him. I'm ready to put the farm on Shavkat. That man is a fucking nightmare.
So my takeaway is from the one thing that you said is that he has never gone to decision.
No, never.
Anytime a fighter is minus 500 to minus 600, I need to see you go through hell or high water. I do not want to see you enter that 3rd round, and then all of a sudden you have a look on your face where it's like, oh shit, I didn't finish this guy. And now I'm going to get dragged into deep water. He gets shit done quick against lesser quality competition. This is definitely the toughest test he's going to face. I could not back him at that number. I just couldn't. I don't know. There's a gut feeling that tells me Jeff Neal is going to give him issues, or Shavkat's just going to cut through like a hot knife through butter. This is a tough one. This is definitely one to tune into. You'll be able to really see how high Shavkat's ceiling is here. This is a good fight, man. This one's kind of going under the radar a little bit.
Well, this is the coming out party for Shavkat Rakhmonov, right? I mean, this is the moment where we're gonna find out, is he really that fucking dude? And
Yeah.
if he cuts through Jeff Neal, hands of steel, kind of sky's the limit, right? I mean, Jeff Neal's resume is good. He lost to Neil Magny, lost to Stephen Thompson, but the guys that he's beaten are tough dudes, right? His last win is over Vicente Luque. Before that, Santiago Ponzinibbio, the Argentine dagger, Nico Price, Bilal Muhammad, Mike Perry. So, a couple of losses in there that might raise a brow or two for MMA math purposes, but the people he's beat, they're fucking tough dudes, and he's gone into deep waters with them, right? It was a third round finish of Vicente Luque. It was a split decision victory over Ponzinibbio, a TKO of Nico Price and Mike Perry, decision over Bilal Muhammad. So there's certainly an argument to think Jeff Neal might have a little bit of magic in the tank for Shavkat Rakhmonov, but this is the moment where we're going to find out if Shavkat is all that we think he is, and I think he's going to rise to the occasion. I think he's going to absolutely murder Jeff Neal.
Yeah, see, this is a common trend on this card, and we're going to notice it's going to continue a little bit deeper down. But we're starting to side with the guys who just have that wrestling that they need to if they have to lean on it, right? And Jeff Neal, like you just mentioned, he lost to Neil Magny, right? Shavkat fooled Neil Magny, and that's in the grappling department. Jeff Neal did have a coming out party. He's gone leaps and bounds since being knocked out by Kevin Holland on the amateur circuit to knocking out Vicente Luque in the UFC. So he has grown exponentially since he's gotten into the UFC. It's just, can he stay off the ground? Shavkat's got so many tools in the arsenal. He's one of those guys that's just so fucking well-rounded, man. It's a really interesting matchup. If Jeff Neal can keep it on the feet, though, it's similar to Cyril Gane. It's similar to Alexa Grasso. If they can just stay up, they got a shot, man. And every fight starts standing up, so there's always a shot. But you're right. Shavkat probably fucking kills him.
Look, it reminds me of what the Irish Republican Army said to Margaret Thatcher. You've got to be lucky every day. We've only got to be lucky once.
100%, man.
That's how I feel about this.
Love me some quotes. Love me some quotes.
I'll bring history, right? We are not just the bringers of MMA news and education. We're well-rounded. We'll educate you on history,
philosophy,
current affairs. I mean, what do you want? I'll teach math class after this. I'll make it all up, but I'll teach math class after this.
Do a little therapy session. I don't know if we can say that, but
unlicensed therapy, sure. Whatever you want. I'm also an unlicensed surgeon. You want to get rid of a kidney, maybe talk about your childhood. The 10-8 round's here for you.
Let's go. I love that.
But yeah, I mean, Jeff Neal's got to get lucky the whole fight, right? He's got to hope he can keep it on the feet the whole fight. Shavkat's only got to get him to the ground once.
Without a doubt.
It'd be interesting. This is this card, man. It's like Christmas, bro. I can't wait. I'm going to bed early. I'm taking my zinc and magnesium to keep me asleep longer because I hate the fact that it's Monday. I can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah, no, this is honestly ridiculous. The more and more you look down the card.
I need another sip of CBD.
We got a juicy one too that's going to keep up with our common thread of grappler versus striker. You want to hear who's next?
You were talking about Gamrot.
Little Gamrot, Jalen Turner action.
That's just another great fight too.
Jalen Turner originally scheduled to fight Dan Hooker, who dropped out. So Jesus Gamrot is filling in as a late replacement. Who you think Vegas is the favorite here?
I think Vegas is riding with Gamrot.
You'd be correct. Sitting at -210. Jalen Turner +180. Oof. Who you like
That's it.
here?
I like Gamro here. I really do.
Yeah.
But Jalen Turner's been heating up lately. 4 years ago he lost to Matt Frivola, the steamroller, in a UD, but has not lost since then. And he's fought. He beat Brad Riddell last year. I was there for that. Submitted him. Beat Jamie Malarkey, which again is a game guy to fight, right? Is Jamie a high end fighter? No, but he's a game guy. Um, Beat Brock Weaver, who has since washed out of the UFC. But at the time that he beat Brock Weaver, people were a little bit high on him. I was actually kind of sad Brock washed out of the UFC. I wanted to see if he could kind of get it together. And beat Joshua Kubailo, right?
Culibao.
Kubailo.
Culibao. He's and
Yeah.
who's been on a little bit of a streak since then as well.
Yeah. So, I really do like Gamro here. He had a tough loss to Beneil Dariush, so he's going to be looking to get himself back in the right headspace. But before that had a war with Armin Sarukian, has a win over Jeremy Stevens, Diego Ferreira, Scott Holtzman. I like Gamro here.
Yeah, man. Here we go again. Striker, grappler.
Yep.
Gamro, chain wrestler. He's going to shoot 15 takedowns bare minimum this fight. If he needs to shoot 25, he will. This comes down to, can Jalen Turner stay on his feet? That Matt Frivola fight that you mentioned 4 years ago, he got taken down and did not know how to get off of his back. So he's got a glaring hole in the grappling department again. And Gamro is a guy who will relentlessly attack you for 15. We saw him do it over the course of 25 with Dariush. And you're talking top level guys. Armin Sarukian, Beneil Dariush are cream of the crop at 155 pounds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Gamro's been through the mill as in terms of quality of opponent. It's just a good stylistic matchup for him. But Jalen Turner on the feet is a problem. Gamro got exposed by Dariush on the feet. Turner, in my opinion, is a better striker than Dariush. It's just, can Jalen Turner stop the pressure, the constant forward pressure from Gamro here? Oh man, stylistically, I want to side with Gamro. The price tag's a little bit steep. If it was a little bit closer, I'd feel better about it. But I'm gonna have to side with you here and go with Gamro, just because all those opponents that you name that Jalen Turner beat aren't die-hard grapplers. They grapple when they need to. It's not their number one path to victory, and that's Gamro's bread and butter. So
That's it. Yeah. Look, you all know me well enough to know 9 times out of 10, I'm going to side with the grappler. I'm going to side with the wrestler. I think it's best base you can have for MMA.
I agree.
And I have my own little confirmation bias. I tried to challenge the confirmation bias. I wore my Rob Kamen shirt tonight, the Dutchman, one of the greatest foreign Muay Thai fighters there ever was. I'm trying to balance it out, keep it fair and balanced, but I keep siding with wrestlers. So you don't ask a tiger to change his stripes.
Hey, Volkanovski's making an argument that the best base for MMA is rugby. So,
and it's hard for me to disagree with him right now. It really is. Right? He was the first guy to figure out, like, if you don't want to be held down by a Sambo fighter, just stand up. Why didn't any of us think of that?
Who would have thought?
Just don't tap. Easy enough.
Pretty incredible.
Well, speaking of wrestlers,
and
I believe the biggest favorite on this card, and possibly the biggest favorite ever.
Definitely going to probably be the biggest favorite of the year, possibly.
Bo Nickel.
I feel confident saying that. Biggest favorite of a UFC card this year.
Yeah. The Nittany Lion is taking on Jamie Pickett.
Yeah.
I mean,
why?
It seems pretty clear to me that the UFC does not intend to advance Jamie Pickett's career here.
No. Horrible matchmaking here, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is rough. Jamie Pickett coming out of Greenville, North Carolina. He's lost to Kyle Dawkins, who I believe, unfortunately, is he been released or was Chris released? I don't know.
They were both released.
Were they both released? Lost to Dennis Tululian.
Ugh.
I mean, what do I have to say? What's there to say here? Those two losses, and there's not a single win that would challenge that loss to make me think that it was an aberration or that there's some sunshine here for Jamie Pickett.
Yeah, I'm confused why this fight is kind of being made. I mean, the numbers don't lie, right? A guy's sitting at minus 2,000. And the only reason he's
Boxing odds.
what's up?
Those are boxing odds.
They're boxing odds, and the only reason he's minus 2,000 is if he like blows his ACL out or something. There really isn't a path to victory for Pickett here. We saw Bo Nickel can throw on the feet. I'm not like fully convinced in that, but I think he'll be able to deal with Jamie Pickett on the feet. Look for Bo Nickel to make quick work of the night on this one.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, Bo Nickel came through the Contender Series, ran through the Contender Series like a fucking hot knife through butter. Is one of the most accomplished college wrestlers of recent memory. Wrestled at Penn State. I believe he won the national championship at least once, maybe more than once. But was just an incredible wrestler. Such a good wrestler, in fact, that they actually had a crossover event where he had a grappling match with Gordon Ryan. And it suplexed Gordon Ryan at one point, although whether or not Gordon wanted him to suplex him or not is a different question for a different day. But I don't think that Jamie Pickett is going to be the one to expose Bo Nickel. Somebody might. It ain't going to be Jamie Pickett.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. You're going to need somebody who can, weather the storm of takedowns relentlessly over the course of 15 minutes. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Jamie Pickett is not that guy.
I don't think he's that guy.
I don't.
Uh,
But we got a juicy one down the line here.
Go on, tell me about it. Who we got?
This is exciting because this is going to be the draw, right? This is going to be the bait that they feed you before the pay-per-view here. We got arguably the biggest fall from grace in UFC history. We got Cody No Love Garbrandt versus Trevin Jones.
Yeah.
So Garbrandt, for those of you who don't remember, his last fight, he dropped down to 125 pounds. Flyweight, he fought Kai Kara France. Kai Kara France knocked him out. And now Glass Chin is going back up to 135, and he is fighting Trevin Jones.
And I'm not the gambler on the show, but if I was, I would not touch this fight with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, I'm touching it.
Are you touching it?
Oh, I'm touching it.
Well, you're a brave man, and we've always honored and respected your bravery on this show. I wouldn't touch it.
This is one of those ones where I'm just going to go against the chin here. But before I get to that, who do you think the favorite is?
Cody Garbrandt.
Minus 170.
Okay.
In his last 5 fights, I believe 4 of them, or all 5 of them, he was the favorite in his last 5. So he has a negative ROI, and as in terms of a favorite fighter, which is not a good look. That means he's losing fights that he's supposed to win. Trevin Jones plus 145. In my opinion, this is the absolute worst matchup for Cody Garbrandt. Trevin Jones hits like a fucking truck. Absolutely cracks. Like super, super impressive. He's fought a ton of monsters early on in his career. He has a knockout win over Mario Bautista, who is granite chin, killer, super active, trains with Corey Sandhagen, just a huge up-and-coming guy. Knocked him out, clean out in the second round after he got dominated for 5 minutes. Trevin Jones is one of those guys, every time he throws a shot, even against guys with good chins, you hold your breath. For that reason alone, I just think the first time he makes contact, Cody Garbrandt's going to bed.
And it's fair, right? It's a fair thought. But then Trevin Jones is 1-3 in his last 4 fights.
Killers, though. Name his opponents. Do you have that
Ronnie
up? Am I
Barcelos.
calling you out on the spot there?
Listen, I'm ready to go. Ronnie Barcelos. I don't say it if I'm not ready.
Ronnie Barcelos, killer.
Javid Bashrat
Bassarat, killer.
and Sayurkab.
Kakramanov, killer. All three of those guys would be favorites against Cody Garbrandt.
Fair enough. Look, fair enough.
That's my argument.
I still don't love a guy who's 1-3. I still just don't love it. But then look at Cody Garbrandt, 1-5 in his last 6.
And he's been viciously knocked out in all of his losses.
Yeah, this is
viciously.
When we talk about a chin going on a fighter, close your eyes and picture Cody Garbrandt, who was on top of the world, right? Was the biggest shit going in the UFC, defeated Dominic Cruz in 2016. Before that, confirming, had never lost a fight before, beat Dominic Cruz 2016, lost back-to-back to TJ Dillashaw, both KOs.
EPO Dillashaw might have put an end to Garbrandt's career, yeah.
He might have, yeah. Juicy TJ might have put an end to Garbrandt's career. You know, won over Rafael Asunciao, lost to Rob Font and Kai Kara.
Jesus Christ, that was nasty.
So yeah, when
Garbrandt has a loss to Rob Font.
Yeah, 2021 loss to Rob Font.
He went all 5 though.
Went all 5.
Yeah.
That right there, that loss to Rob Font might be the only reason I don't love the Trevin play here, because Rob Font hits fucking hard. Rob Font's a dog in there, and Garbrandt managed to survive 5 rounds. And honestly, other than his tough losses, I don't know a lot about Trevin Jones.
I really like Trevin Jones here. One thing I also want to throw in is Cody Garbrandt had 2 fights lined up before this that fell through. UFC tried to line him up with Ronnie Yaya, who, if you don't know who that is, he has no striking game whatsoever. He's essentially a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Ben Askren, where it's get you on the ground or bust. That fight fell through. Second fight they lined him up with was what's his name? This is going to kill me. Decent striker, fight fell through. It's not the point. 2 of the fights that the UFC tried to give him, they fell through. So this Trevin Jones is coming together as a last minute replacement type thing. I'm really surprised that they gave him this matchup. I saw Trevin Jones light Bassarat up, and I'm a Bassarat truther. I think he's a future guy that you got to watch out for. I've seen him put dudes on bandy legs, even in losses. And I'm not willing to put anything up on Garbrandt's chin. He just got knocked out by a flyweight. This is a 135 pounder who can fucking crack. I think it's just as a nightmare matchup. Back against the wall, coming off 3 losses too. Ooh, this might be my max play of the card, Trevin Jones.
That's a confident man, and I love confidence.
I just like Trevin Jones here. I really, really fucking do.
I love confidence. No, look, there is nothing that I can point to tangibly to argue against your play.
Julio Arce was the second fight that fell through with Cody Garbrandt. Took me a second, but that was also a shitty matchup. But I think Trevin Jones is a worse matchup.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing I can say to argue your point. I just don't like the play. I would lay off it personally. Such a shame about Cody No Love, though, right? Juicy Dillashaw, Juice Bar Dillashaw fucking ruined that chin, the chin of a guy who was flying so fucking high. And was a guy you liked to like too. Like I think in his fight against Dominic Cruz, he had brought, I don't know if it was like a Make-A-Wish thing, but he had brought a kid who had been really sick or something like that to the cage with him. Like he was, putting Ohio MMA back on the map, straight out of Ohio.
Supposed to be the next big thing.
And was the next big thing. And 2 losses to Dillashaw, and that chin just never fucking recovered. Yeah,
Pedro Munoz knocked him out.
Yeah.
Bad.
If you're going to ride with anybody, you probably want to ride with Trevin Jones because at this point, it's just not safe to put your money on Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, no, I'm not as a favorite as well, minus 170, and you're betting on that chin to hold up for 15 minutes against a guy who absolutely levels people. I just don't see it. And Trevin Jones has a fucking chin on him. He's got a chin on him, and he's fought really tough competitors, man. I'm convincing myself more. Trevin fucking Jones, man.
Trevin Jones, you heard it here first. Trevin Jones. You wanna talk a little Derek Brunson taking on Dricus Du Plessis?
Dricus Du Plessis. Yeah. This is an interesting one. Who do you think the favorite is here?
I'm gonna say the favorite is Dricus.
You'd be right.
Look at me go tonight. I'm on fire tonight.
Dricus Du Plessis. This is an interesting one. Dricus coming off of a win over Darren Till. Derek Brunson coming off of a win over Darren Till too, I believe. Oh, a loss to Jared Cannonier too.
Yeah, he lost to Cannonier, but before that, both men have a submission victory over Darren Till. Yeah, Brunson's an odd. He's an odd guy. You know, he's beaten a lot of fucking tough dudes. If I'm not mistaken, big wrestler.
Huge wrestler.
You know, yeah, just like and has wins over. I mean, you know, Kevin Holland, right? Rest in peace, but Elias Theodoro. You know, and his losses are, you know, Israel Adesanya, Robert Whitaker, Anderson Silva has a win over Lyoto Machida. This is a possibly good fight.
I think it's going to be a good fight. Dricus minus 220, you already said is the favorite. Derek Brunson's plus 185. I think it is going to be a good fight. I agree with you. And for that reason, I'm going to go Derek Brunson here. We saw Dricus gas a little bit in the Darren Till fight. It's kind of like he's really good when he's imposing his will. But as soon as he hits a little bit of adversity, he starts to kind of falter a little bit. We saw him taking big, deep breaths. And luckily, you can get the takedown against a guy like Darren Till. And the takedowns weren't really super impressive either. It was like, what the hell? I thought Darren Till was training with Hamzat Chimaev in the mountains in Russia. That was kind of, you know, tough to watch the boy Darren Till go out like that. But I like Derek Brunson here. I think this is definitely Dricus's toughest competition to date. Stylistically, this is a good little matchup for Brunson. I like Brunson better on the feet, and I like him better in the wrestling department. I think Dricus wins the first round.
Fair. I like Brunson a lot in the wrestling department. He's a ground and pound fighter, right? Most of his wins are by knockout. I think he has 12 knockouts, but obviously he's a ground and pound kind of guy. And yeah, I mean, just the adversity that Till was able to give to Dricus Du Plessis, I like Brunson here. I'm with you. I'm going to ride with Derek Brunson.
Yeah, man. Plus 185. It's a good number too. Yeah, I'll root for Brunson here all day. I think he's blonde Brunson too. I think he did post a Twitter pic, and he was on a murder spree when he was blonde hair.
If he's blonde Brunson, yeah, that changed. Now I'm really riding with Derek Brunson.
Yeah, if he comes to weigh-ins with blonde hair, you can just pretty much lock that in.
Something about it. I mean, it harkens me back to the Kevin Randleman days, you know.
Yes.
Wrestler, blonde hair, died. It brings me to a place and a time where I'm young and the world is full of bright future. If it's blonde Brunson, I'm rocking with Brunson all day.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to side with the dog here.
Yeah, fair enough.
We got some more.
I mean, we could just literally keep going down the line because all of these fights are fucking great.
Speaking of dogs, I think I'm going to keep the trend going. We have Vivian Araujo and Amanda Ribas.
Yeah.
Who do you think the favorite is here?
I think the favorite's Amanda Ribas.
You'd be right. Slight favorite at minus 120. Araujo's at plus 100. I don't understand why Amanda Ribas keeps fighting at 125 pounds because she's a strawweight. So I don't know why she keeps fighting above her weight class. I'm going to side with another underdog here. I think Vivian Araujo matches up well with Ribas. I think Ribas is going to try and wrestle, and I think Araujo can crack on the feet. She's fought top girls too. So they've both had really decent competition. Araujo's in her natural weight class. I like Araujo here at plus money.
I mean, I think this is kind of a pick 'em, so I'm gonna rock with Amanda Ribas. Um, they both fought top competition. They're both good fighters. I think it's going to be a good fight. I like Ribas here. They both have a decision loss to Caitlin Chikagian because it's a requirement in women's MMA. You lose one decision to Caitlin Chikagian. No matter what else you do, you have to lose one decision to Caitlin Chikagian. Yeah, I'm going to ride with Ribas here. I think she's got a little bit of a better resume than I think Arujo does. Um, Arujo, win over Montana De La Rosa, Roxanne Modafferi, a loss to Alexa Grasso, Caitlin Chikagian, and Jessica I, a win over Andrea Lee. It's kind of like 1-1 for her. So I like Amanda Ribas here.
That's fair. Just I'm going to slide with the slight dog in what I believe is also a pick'em fight.
I think that's fair, right? I mean, if it's a pick 'em fight and it could go either way, I mean, you want to get the bang for your buck. You want to win some money if you're going to bet money. So betting on the dog here is not a bad call. I like Amanda Ribas in this spot. I met Amanda Ribas once. She was very nice. So I'm gonna ride with her. I'm gonna stay brand loyal.
Okay, Zach going with his heart. Not a surprise there at all.
You can always bet on Zach going with his heart. The odds on that through the fucking roof.
All right. We got the Cuban Missile Crisis
Yeah.
versus Marc-Andre Barriault.
Yeah. This is a good fight.
This is a good fight. This is a good fight.
This is a good ass card.
Who you think the favorite is in this one?
I think the favorite is going to be Marc-Andre.
You'd be correct.
Okay.
I'd have to agree with you on that. I think Marc-Andre Barriault has the tools to win this. I think his grappling will kind of overwhelm Marquez as the later rounds go on in this fight.
Yeah.
But he's called the Cuban Missile Crisis for a reason. He has crazy, crazy power. We just saw Marc-Andre Barriault get absolutely big brothered by Alexander Fluffy Hernandez. Super, super, super impressive performance by Alexander Hernandez, by the way. What's up?
Anthony Hernandez.
Anthony Hernandez. Unbelievably impressive performance in that one. So it'll be interesting to see how Barriault comes back from that, where he just got absolutely dogged. This is a tough fight, man. This is a tough fight. I'd probably lay off this one. I think it'll be a good fight. Gun to my head, though, I'm going to go with Marc-Andre Barriault, but I don't love it at all.
Gun to my head, I'm going to do the same thing. The Hernandez fight gives me pause, and so does the fact that almost a calendar year ago, he got flatlined by Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Bang Bang flatlines everybody, though.
True, but you got a guy in the Cuban Missile Crisis who's also got power in those hands. And once somebody does it once, all they're telling your opponents is it can happen again. So it gives me pause, but I'm still riding with Barriault.
And it's like kind of like I've said before too, is like I don't like betting against guys who are going to give it their all. And Julian Marquez is a guy who's you have to kill him. You have to hit him over the head with a fire extinguisher to get him out of there. He's the type of guy who's going to go out on his shield, and those are just guys that I just don't like to bet against.
So they'll find a way to win in any place at any time.
Yeah, man, they're just not going to quit. They're going to fight for your money, and they're going to make you sweat that entire 15 minutes. So for that reason, I'll probably sit this one out. But we have a nice big prospect coming up on the horizon.
Yeah, we do. The future, Ian Gary.
Future Ian Gary versus Kenan Song.
Kenan Song, whichever, whomever. Yeah, undefeated Ian Gary puts it on the line.
Yeah,
I
man.
think Ian Gary's the favorite here.
You'd be right. Minus 650.
Yeah.
You're talking, he's got Shevchenko respect on his line here.
Yeah.
I got the opportunity to meet Ian Gary in Jacksonville. Super, super down to earth, super, super humble, super, super cool dude. I like Ian Gary. I'm just rooting for him. I'm a fan of his. And he's got that Irish accent, so he's got a little bit of the McGregor allure that people are trying to find in him.
But he's much nicer.
He's way nicer. He's not as crude. He's married with kids before going into the UFC. So he's kind of got that, little bit more father mentality, a little bit more matureness to him. Maybe a little bit less edge than McGregor. No, definitely less edge than McGregor. But
Gary's not going to post a video of him getting a blowjob on a yacht. Let's put it that way. He's not going out yet.
Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely, right? So let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Another great quote.
Yeah, that is a great quote. I love that quote.
Acton? Yeah, that's a great quote.
Yeah, Lord Acton. Yep, that's it. Ian Gary minus 650 seems wide though. That's a really big line. Keenan Song's good, dude. He's not bad. He can stand and bang. It's not really a litmus test because I feel like Ian Gary is, I don't know. I feel like he's seen this competition somewhat. I'm going to side with Ian Gary, but I just don't love that number. That number is high.
The number is a little high, but I think a number that high, I have to believe that, the UFC and Vegas kind of know what's on the horizon here. I think they've got a little bit invested in Ian Gary doing well. Obviously, whenever there's an Irish fighter in MMA that does well, every Irish American in the world will come out as a rabid fan. I think Ian Gary's no different here. So I think they know what they're doing. I think they're feeding Song to him a little bit. So I'm going to ride with Ian Gary. I think that's the play.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't see really a path to victory for Song.
Exactly.
So for those reasons, I will be siding with the future Ian Gary. That about does it for me on this card.
Yeah, that about does it for me. There's 4 fights that we haven't talked about. They're early fights. There's not a lot that I think needs to be said about them.
Bassarat's brother is fighting.
Yeah, I was going to say Farid Bassarat puts his goose egg on the line against Damon Blackshear. Jessica Penn is fighting Tabitha Ricci. Not a lot to say here though. I think we've covered this card with the thorough investigative eye that our fans have come to know, love, and respect.
Yeah, we definitely combed over it. If there was something that we saw, a little diamond in the rough, we would bring it up. Yeah. Good fights nonetheless. But
good fights, good fights. Tune in. This isn't going to be a boring one. Pace yourself at Miller's Ale House. Don't start ordering the car bombs early because Ian Gary got a win and your mother's third cousin's last name was Cunningham and you feel some connection to the Emerald Isle. Don't get a fucking head of yourself.
Yeah, that's big.
Get a quesadilla, put some carbs in the belly because this is going to be a long night and it's going to be a lot of good fights. You don't want to be blacked out in the parking lot putting on a little MMA of your own.
Yeah. I mean, imagine you're blacking out for an Ian Gary fight and you're missing a Jon Jones fight. Come on now.
Couldn't be me. Not be me.
It's definitely been me before and it probably will be me again, but to each their own, right?
It's their own. Not on this time.
No, not this week. This week I'll garner a little bit of respect for myself. Not much, but a glimpse.
Just a glimpse. I'll be sticking with my Killcliff CBD that evening. Keep the emotions in check. Don't let myself go one way or the other.
Very responsible of you. Very mature.
You want to talk about a little news around the fighting world? See what's up. See what's happening.
Yeah, let's get into it. What are the people talking about?
Well, the first thing speaking of fighters I've met before, Tatiana Suarez. She back. She got a dub this weekend. A weight class up from where she usually fights. She fought I believe she fought Montana De La Rosa.
She did. There was little nip slip.
There was it looked like a close but no cigar nip slip. But it does bring up kind of an interesting issue that's sort of floating around the MMA world right now. So first, let's get it out of the way. Tatiana Suarez keeps her goose egg intact, which is great. I think she's a fantastic fighter. She remains undefeated. She's back for the first time in 3 years, I think, a 3-year layoff after injury. But yeah, some wardrobe issues.
Yeah, man, this has been a common theme in the last 2 weeks. the Aaron Blanchfield, Jessica Andrade. Andrade was complaining about, her bra slipping out and it kind of being a wardrobe malfunction. And then sure enough, we see it again the following week in this fight with Montana De La Rosa. Wasn't too bummed about missing the Andrade one, but it is what it is. I mean, the UFC has issues with this, right? The gloves are no good. The uniforms are no good. So, I mean, this isn't the first time that equipment has really been an issue. So, I don't know. What's the answer for this? Are we going singlets? What are we doing here?
So I think the problem is, right, and there is like a full rash guard option for women's MMA fighters. Obviously, Roxanne Modafferi always came out in like the full t-shirt rash guard. But
Kind of mid looking though.
well, yeah, I mean, look, Roxanne was never going to come out here with anything other than jujitsu on her mind, so she was throwing the fucking rash guard on, and that's Roxanne for you. But I think the problem too is, look, if you're a grappler, you don't want necessarily to have your full midriff covered, because a little bit of sweat might allow you to slip out of a bad position, right? I mean, you don't want to necessarily have to take that option. There
Yeah.
are levels to this game, and if you're on the ground and you need a little bit of human lubrication to get out of a bad spot, sweat's going to be what does it.
Yep.
So I understand it. I think the answer is, and I love that two idiots are going to talk about the solution for women's MMA. But I heard on Twitter the solution might be a higher neck on the sports bra.
Yeah, that would make sense, right? Just a specification added to the sports bra that makes it stick better. I don't have that answer. But maybe looking at kind of what they use in like BJJ tournaments and stuff like that. I know it's usually the full rash guard, but kind of getting rid of the midriff part and just keeping the neck raised. Something probably needs to be done though, to have this happen on back-to-back events in super high profile fights. It raises cause for concern.
It does. Look, and number one, I think Tatiana Suarez was always going to win her fight on Saturday. I don't think anything happened to change my mind about that.
Same with
And
Blanchfield.
exactly. Same with Blanchfield over Andrade. I mean, these were two women who put on, stellar performances and earned their victories. But what a shame it would be down the line if in the middle of a good fight or a close fight, somebody's got to stop a boob from popping out, and all of a sudden they get decked or they get taken down, and that's the end of the fight.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's tough because you can't relate to it. So they definitely they need to get some girls who have been through it and have some solutions and figure this shit out. It's time for the UFC to make a couple little bit of changes, or they're going to get left behind in the dust.
Exactly. Time to make some changes. Look, I can't relate. If my nip slips out, it's not going to bother me. It may bother everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't going to bother me.
No.
So I can't relate, but I do hope the UFC kind of fixes that one. Before it becomes a problem for somebody in a fight where they were winning, or something like that. I'd hate to see that happen. We're here to solve the world's issues, right? Whatever it is, we're not going to back away from it just because we can't relate to it. We're going to attack it head on.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no credibility, even no research done, we're going to tackle it.
We're going to tackle it. We are here to tackle the problems of this sport. Once again, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, Dana White. Why is my phone so dry, fellas? We're here to fix your problems. Time to call us up.
Sold me.
Right? I mean, what else is there to say? Did you catch any of the Fury Paul fight?
I caught glimpses of it on Twitter through the grapevine. I'd like to proudly say that I've never paid for and or watched a full Jake Paul fight.
You and I can both say that proudly.
I can now sleep at night. No, but from what I saw, it was a pretty closely contested bout. It was a good fight. Fury got the better of him. This was definitely the toughest test for both of them in both of their respective careers. First time Jake Paul actually fought a boxer and lost. So it's not a great look, but he probably needs a little bit of adversity. One thing that I found interesting was Fury's only 23 years old. where I was like, holy shit, like this dude's pretty young. That doesn't get talked about enough. Kind of the pressure that he has on his shoulders carrying that Fury name. And, you know, they were saying if he lost, that he was going to have to change his last name. And I mean, that's a lot for a 23-year-old to handle, you know, main eventing, headlining a Saudi Arabia card with
Yeah.
a ton of money in the line. That was probably this is so sad, but that was probably the biggest fight of the year for boxing. Unless Fury fights like Usyk, if they get that done, that'd probably be the only fight that would be bigger than that, which is crazy. Maybe Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, but I mean, good for both of them. Apparently they're talking about a rematch, but shit, dude, Jake Paul carrying the overall state of boxing is something that I did not have for my bingo card in 2023.
You know, and I think, and I'm in the same boat that you are. Number one, I've never paid for a Jake Paul fight, and a lot would have to change for me to pay for one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but you know, I think this is the truth of the matter, right? Jake Paul is a guy who's got some athleticism, some size, and some boxing acumen, but he's not a boxer, right? Because I don't know that Tommy Fury is going to live up to what his brother has done for the sport of boxing. I don't think he's going to be the next Tyson Fury.
It's a tall
Uh,
order.
right? It's a tall order, you know, but you fought a real boxer and you lost a split decision. Now, again, it was a close fight, and he did, as I understand it, he did drop Tommy Fury late in the fight. It was a quick drop. He popped right back up. But, you know, I think for Jake Paul, what he should look to do, I think he should transition to MMA. The Paul brothers were pretty legitimate wrestlers in California growing up. They've got a good wrestling background. Clearly, Jake Paul can throw the hands. He's beaten MMA fighters 3 times in boxing bouts. I think the call is there. If you really want to be a fighter, I think MMA is the place for you. You got some boxing, you got some wrestling. Get into PFL, bro. Start getting in there and start cracking with lighter gloves.
Interesting.
That's
Interesting.
but he's not going to because I mean, I think he made $30 million off of this Tommy Fury fight. He's not going to.
Yeah, I did see in the lead up that he was saying it was double or nothing, and he was begging for Fury to sign that. So I guess that never happened, but I don't know. All these broken promises by the Paul brothers, it seems to be. They're starting to lose a little bit of their lust, but they made
Well,
out like bandits. So who the fuck am I to say?
yeah, you know, but I look, I hope they're saving that money, man, because I think Jake Paul is one boxing loss away from the luster being completely taken away from this one.
He's got to fight like KSI or something. Fight another YouTuber, kind of stay in that lane. He's only been boxing for 3 years. I mean, Fury's been there's not a better bloodline to have. He's probably been boxing since he was 5 years old.
Right.
So, you know, that's not actually fought somebody his same size as him as well. Um, you know, there's a lot of things to take away from it, but
There
who
was
knows,
always
man? Tommy Fury might make some waves. Who knows? I don't know. He's young,
look,
23.
might I'll probably never watch another Tommy Fury fight if I'm being honest with you. Boxing has just not grabbed my attention in these years. It just does not hold my fucking interest.
His brother fights, I'm gonna watch it.
I'll watch a Tyson Fury fight. Yeah, I'll watch a Tyson Fury fight. That's fair. But it's got to be something big for boxing to really grab my interest.
Ngannou.
ESPN, maybe, maybe I don't know. I'd hate to see that after watching
Stop it. You
I'd
would
hate
watch that. Stop it.
watching Francis wrestle fuck gone in their last fight. I would hate for Francis to leave MMA now. I really would. Um, I saw that Scott Coker was like, "Yeah, we're in talks with Francis," and I was like, "Dude, about what?" I cannot imagine a world in which Francis Ngannou goes to fucking Bellator.
And fights a 42-year-old Ryan Bader.
Right. Like there's just no way. There is absolutely no way that happens.
Yeah, that fight shouldn't be sanctioned.
I'm going to say if Jones beats Gon on Saturday, I think at some point we are going to see him fight Francis. Someone's going to make that happen. That fight is just too big to not make happen. And someone's got to learn these lessons, right? I mean, what did everybody want when Ronda Rousey was at the top? People weren't calling for her to fight Holly Holm. People were calling for her to fight Cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
Left the UFC, went over to Bellator, and that fight never happened. It fell apart, right? Kayla Harrison, Cyborg. Everyone was calling for that one. Now Kayla Harrison lost in the PFL. A little bit of the luster's taken off of that one. Someone's going to have to learn the lesson. We got to play nice in the sandbox because these big fights are leaving a lot of money on the table. I think Jones and Francis fight if Jones beats Gane on Saturday at some point. And I think the only real winner of the Fury Paul fight, the only person who truly won anything was Dylan Dennis. Because now he gets to be relevant for another month on social media.
Yeah, no, I can't even entertain that.
What is there to say? I know. What is there to say? But speaking of Ryan Bader, did you see Bader's back in the UFC in a limited capacity?
Yeah, very interesting. Chandler bringing him on to help coach Tough. It will be interesting to see if they mention that he is the Bellator heavyweight champion. We know how much Dana likes to use the B word in press conferences and stuff like that. He does not like to give any shine whatsoever to any other fight organizations. Yeah, I'm surprised they let that happen.
I know.
I mean, Bader is a former UFC fighter, but I mean, he's the current heavyweight champion in Bellator. And I feel like that's something that they might want to bring up in probably what's going to be one of the biggest Tough series ever, right? Probably most eyeballs on it besides the last one that McGregor did with Uriah Faber.
I think it's going to be awkward if they don't mention it, right? Like, where's this guy since he left? It's not like anybody doesn't know.
The casuals though don't, you know what I mean? Like some of the McGregor fanboys are going to tune into this. Some of the like not MMA diehards, they definitely don't.
I don't know. I mean, I think even if you're a casual, you know that Bader just fought Fedor, right? Like you probably heard about that.
I think you'd be surprised.
I'm never surprised around the sport of mixed martial arts, and
True.
I'm never. When you throw casuals in the mix, I'm even less surprised. But
Very true.
I would think most people, if not all, most people tuning in are going to know Ryan Bader fights somewhere else. I'd be interested to see how he does as a wrestling coach. I think that's what Chandler brought him in for. Was so clearly Chandler's got a game plan here. Chandler being the wrestler from Mizzou, Ryan Bader being the wrestler from Arizona State. Clearly, that's going to be a wrestling heavy team to counter McGregor. What I imagine will be McGregor's striking heavy team. So clearly, they've got a game plan. I'm looking forward to the season. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Man, I'm excited.
The only thing that was kind of in the ether, kind of not in the ether, that I was hoping to see happen was there was a rumor that Gordon Ryan, maybe not a rumor, there was talk about Gordon Ryan being somebody's jiu-jitsu coach. And I thought that would have been a lot of fun because that man is the Conor McGregor of the jiu-jitsu world and arguably worse, right? He's just fucking a dog with a bone in the jiu-jitsu world. So to see him opposite McGregor and let those two go at talking shit, oh, that would have been a thing of beauty.
Yeah. It might have taken away a little bit from the Chandler or, allure a little bit.
Exactly.
So I kind of get why they didn't do that. But I don't know, man. From what I've seen with Chandler, I think it's going to be a fun season. I mean, from what it looks like, Connor's in full form. So I'm excited for that Tough series, man. I believe it's is it bantamweights and lightweights?
I'd have to look. It's something like that. Either way, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned off air, Roosevelt Roberts looks like he's back in the house.
Yeah.
That's great. I think that's awesome. So it should be a good season.
Yeah, man. Definitely. What else we got?
Well, I don't know that there's too much else. I got my tip of the week. Should we get to that? And then maybe
Let's hear your tip of the week.
Listen, tip of the week coming in this week. If you watched the Who's Number One card on Saturday, the jiu-jitsu card, you know that there's going to be a third and final season of the show Daisy Fresh. Daisy Fresh Jiu-Jitsu follows Heath Pedigo, who is a jiu-jitsu black belt from Mount Vernon, Illinois, who rented out an old laundromat, like a running down, dilapidated laundromat, and a bunch of these like nomadic kids moved into it, and they created one of the most exciting jiu-jitsu teams to watch right now. Jacob Couch, the Hillbilly Hammer, is probably the most well-known. Andrew Wiltsey is also really well-known coming out of there, but they got a lot of killers. And these guys, at least for the first two seasons, you watch these kids who had nothing, Nothing. They lived in the gym that they trained at. They would bring out air mattresses and use Tide pads as pillows every night. Both season 1 and 2 are available on YouTube for free. I cannot recommend strongly enough, if you've got the time, go watch Daisy Fresh. That's my tip of the week. These guys truly love grappling more than they love life itself, and you'll really enjoy it. It's very heartwarming. So, tip of the week.
Love it.
That's it. What else you got, John Boy? Anything?
The Physical 100 on Netflix
Okay.
is a move. I believe Sexy Yama in one championship, former UFC fighter, is a contestant on the show. They take the top 100 physical specimens in Korea and put them to the test with one last man standing. If you want something to binge through on Netflix, I just started it. First 2 episodes were very promising.
Now, have you confirmed that it is in fact Sexy Yama?
It has to be. I
Because
don't
it's
know
gonna.
what name he goes by on the show. It's him. It's him. Confirmed.
All
I
right.
mean,
Thank
it's Sexy Yama. You don't misconstrue a face like that, you know?
Completely fair. Well, there you have it, guys. Saturday fights are coming up. If you need to fill the time between now and Saturday, Daisy Fresh, Physical 100. Go back and watch some old Jon Jones fights because that never disappoints. And while you're at it, don't forget, call your mother, tell you love her, because we out.
Peace.